Hello. Just gonna wait for some more people to join the live. Hi, I can see, Shona, I can see that you've joined live. Could you request to join me, please? So for those watching, we're gonna start in about 2 minutes time. But just to let you know, today we're discussing International Women's Day. I'm going to be joined with Shona Buchanan from Too Good To Go, so it's all very exciting. Let's just get Shona onto the video with us. That's no problem, Shona. Hello. Hi, Shona, I can see you now.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Can you hear me fine too?
Yeah, all good.
Perfect. No, it's great to see you. How are you?
Yes, good, thank you. Good. Enjoying International Women's Day. How
Yeah.
are you doing?
Very good. Happy International Women's Day. Yeah, we're just gonna wait a couple more minutes.
Perfect.
But yeah, just to let you know, this live stream is going to be recorded probably, so then we're going to be able to post it on our channels afterwards. Because I know obviously it's 12 p.m. on a Tuesday, so not everyone's going to be able to tune in right now.
Yes.
But yeah, no,
Lunchtime.
thank you for joining us anyway. Yeah, it is lunchtime. Very excited, so let's just give it a minute. How are you today, though?
Yeah, it's really sunny here, so I'm enjoying a bit of sunshine. It got lighter earlier today, which is all very exciting. So lots to look forward to.
Yeah, definitely. It's very nice and sunny here as well. I think a lot of people will be taking their it makes such a difference. I think a lot of people will be going on walks for their lunchtime break today. I've definitely got one planned, so
yes, absolutely.
In the sun. Right. I know we're on a tight time frame, so I think we might as well just start, and then we can, as people come and join, they'll be able to watch it afterwards anyway. So let's begin. Okay, so hi Shona. Thanks so much first of all for joining us on the live stream today. So for those who are watching live or watching afterwards, if you don't know, today is March 8th and it is International Women's Day. So this is a global holiday made specifically to celebrate the achievements of women around the world. So in honor of today, the team at EnvoPAP decided to host a live stream to discuss some of the important questions and issues surrounding the female experience, gender inequality, and female empowerment in general. So for this discussion, we're very lucky to be joined by the Global B Corp Manager at Too Good To Go, Shona.
Nice to be here.
Yeah, thank you for joining us again. Maybe just to start off with, could you just give us like a brief intro on who you are and what Too Good To Go does, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So as Annie says, I'm the Global B Corp Manager. So my role at Too Good To Go is to make sure that we're doing everything in the best possible way as a B Corp. So all of our environmental, social and governance standards are completely up to date. At Too Good To Go, we're a food waste app. And so we work in 17 different countries around the world where people can log on and get food which would otherwise go to waste from local businesses, cafes and restaurants at the end of the day. And we also do work beyond that with governments and schools around food waste and the difference that we can make through tackling food waste together.
Exactly. So there's a lot of alignment between Too Good To Go and EnvoPAP because we're both so focused on eliminating food waste in whatever way that we do it. So yeah, we're on tight time frame, so I'm gonna jump straight into the discussion on International Women's Day. So first of all, how do you personally view today? How do you see International Women's Day?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one because I think these it's a great chance for us to have these conversations and for it to start us thinking about different debates and different aspects of why we should have an International Women's Day and why we should talk about it.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think those conversations should be happening throughout the year, but it's a great opportunity for us to celebrate it. At Too Good To Go, our DE&I task force on today are working in all their different markets around the world to kind of take that conversation locally and talk to their local culture about what it means and why it's important. So I think that's really cool, and it's nice to give us that push and that chance to do that. But yeah, my dream is that it continues for the rest of the year, and those conversations can continue.
No, I completely agree. Every day should be International Women's Day, right? So
Exactly.
but no, I think today is one of the only days of the year that we really have an elevated platform to celebrate and commemorate everything that women have done in the past and now. So it is an exciting day to have, but as you said, if only it were every day.
Exactly.
So yeah, obviously we both work in B Corps, we're in businesses, and I think it's very important for the younger generation and women overall to have female business inspiration. So which woman is your business role model, and why?
It's such a good question, and I think it's so hard to choose. There's some amazing women out there doing, and especially in the B Corp world, some amazing women running B Corps or working at B Corps doing really, really cool things. I think it would be remiss of me not to mention our CEO, Mette Lykke, who has a really amazing story to become CEO of Too Good To Go, and I really appreciate her leadership style, which is very direct, open, but an inspiring style. And I personally think that it's created a kind of gender equality at Too Good To Go, which we're really proud of. We've got a really good gender balance of 50% women.
Nice.
And that is something which I think comes from having a leader that really believes in it and really pushes it forward. So I would go with that, but it's so hard to choose. I could probably talk all day about different women who inspire me. Do you have one?
I definitely agree. There's so many to choose from, and it is very hard to pick one. Like, I would say every day there's a new person that I'm thinking about. So for example, like last week I was really inspired by Grace Beverley, who's the CEO of Tala, We Are Tala, the fitness brand that's focused on sustainability, because I saw that she'd shared her financial pitch deck with the world to see, which I thought was an amazing move, because these things are usually so kept. Something like that anyone can access, including young women who want to be entrepreneurs. It's so important to just have that visibility. But yeah, as I said, it's a new woman every day that's inspiring. So so as I said before, obviously we both work for B corporations. So for those who are listening who may not know, B Corps are businesses that have been analysed, assessed and certified for having the highest standards of social and environmental performance, transparency and accountability as well. So within both of our work and personal lives, the matters of sustainability and social responsibility are really significant. So in your opinion, how important is gender equality in the context of sustainability?
Yeah, I think it's so important. I think the women are often unequally subject to a lot of kind of issues with sustainability, with climate change. Women are often disproportionately affected. So it's really important that we both support women and people of all genders in tackling sustainability. But added to that, women still aren't represented in leadership roles. We still don't have enough of a voice to actually make these decisions. And there's loads of amazing studies around actually the improved decision making when we've got gender equality at decision making level. With one set of people representing only one group of people, you can't make decisions for everyone, and sustainability affects us all. So I just think it's so important that we tackle gender equality in order to tackle sustainability. I think they're just so interlinked and we can't do one without the other.
No, I completely agree. They are like inherently linked. It's really impossible to achieve one without the other. And as you said, yeah, women in the context of sustainability and climate change, women are undoubtedly more affected by those impacts, and there's a lot of reports out there that show this. And despite this, they're still massively underrepresented in global environmental decision making and positions of power. Yeah, as you said, it's important that we have women in positions of power to actually make these changes. Obviously, there are some. So, do you think that the women that are currently in positions of power are doing enough to bridge the gender equality gap?
Yes, is my short answer. I think there's not being enough done to bridge the gender equality gap generally, but what I don't think we can do is say there's women in power, so therefore it's their responsibility to bridge that gap, because there's already so much on the shoulders of women to hold, and adding that as like their responsibility, I just don't believe it's their responsibility. It's all of our responsibility to bridge the gender gap. It's definitely people in power who can do a lot more with it.
Yeah.
But exactly. I believe it's all people in power that need to be making those changes, rather than it kind of falling on the woman to then make that change.
Exactly. No, I completely agree with that. Because I was going to say, on the flip side of that, do you think men in positions of power are doing enough to bridge the gap as well?
So then maybe I would say no in that instance, because I think there's not being enough done, and there are more men in power. So I think, yes, maybe we should all be doing more to make sure that we can get that equality there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, obviously we can do anything we can on the individual level, but it's so important that decisive action is taken from the top down as well, whoever is in positions of power, to actually enact that. And I think, just from my personal experience, I've seen a lot of increased awareness about gender inequality from both men and women, as well as like specifically the relationship between sustainability and gender equality. So it's great to see that we are making those strides in those areas. But that being said, there is still a long, long way to go before we actually achieve equality. So we saw that there was a 2020 World Economic Forum report that indicated that it's still going to take us around a century before we achieve real equality. How does that make you feel? What are your thoughts on that?
It's so shocking, isn't it? I couldn't believe that stat when I saw it. It's so awful, and we're so behind on where we should be at in the 21st century. I think it gives us a push that we all need to be doing more. And that's where I think B Corp really comes into play, because it's really great to be able to be using businesses to put women and other underrepresented communities, make sure their voices are heard, put in support systems in place that they need to be in place. And we can then act as best practice for equitable workplaces, supporting underrepresented communities. And that model can hopefully then be seen more widely. I think it's great to be in a position where we can make that change, even if it's on a kind of small, doing it just at a business level, and hope that then gets reflected. But 100 years is far, far too long. It should Definitely. We should be doing everything we can to change that. Yeah, no, I mean, it is a bit scary, isn't it, that statistic? But then you think how far we've come, and then it's like, well, in the long time frame of history, it's not that much, but obviously we need to be making these strides much, much quicker. And that's why we do just need the representation in positions of power, and why it's so inspiring to hear stories about female business role models or females in positions of power, whether it's governmental or not. Just going back to the CEO of Too Good To Go, like, for example, that's so inspiring. It would be great to hear any more details about her, or what Too Good To Go is doing with female empowerment. Yeah, absolutely. And it goes beyond just Meta. Actually, we have 3 of our C-suite are women. So really close to 50% there. We've got 50% of our leaders, and then 52% of our women all over the business, of our employees across the business are women. Nice. So there's already a lot of representation there, which I think is one of the key things already. As you say, having those role models is so important. So then new, younger members of staff at Too Good To Go can see women in more senior roles who they can see that they've been successful and they can work towards that.
Mm-hmm.
We're also currently looking at other support systems that we can put in place for women specifically to really help create those safe spaces. So something that we'd love to do this year is to create some employee resource groups. So we've got like a women's only employees resource group, or sorry, a women's employee resource group. Obviously allies can join, who would help to really inspire women to organise celebrations about women throughout the year, so it's not just on International Women's Day, and do more there. So those are the key things which we're doing at the moment, but we're always looking at new ways that we can help women and other underrepresented groups at Too Good To Go. So yeah, I'm always looking at other businesses to be inspired by what they're doing.
Yeah, definitely. And it's super inspiring this month in particular. So for those who don't know, it's B Corp month. So it's all of March is celebrating specifically those who have been certified as B Corporations and what we stand for. So just in that, there's been huge movements towards improving female empowerment and recognizing gender inequality in the workplace. So yeah, in particular, this month, it's just great to see all that coming from everyone involved. And it is really great to hear about everything that Too Good To Go is doing. I really love the idea of like the women only empowerment activities. And I think obviously Too Good To Go is just one business, but the outreach that you have is huge. Obviously you're global. I'm not sure how many countries you're in right now.
17 countries
17,
now, yeah.
Exactly. So you've got a huge team, and just one business deciding to make those decisive actions can have such an impact on everyone involved, all the employees involved, and obviously sets such a good example to other businesses that want to do something else, whether it's on a small or a large scale as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's important for businesses to see that they can make a difference, that, you know, the IPCC report seems so huge and there's so much to do, but actually every little business change and decision can help towards it.
Exactly, yeah. It can definitely be daunting, I think, for individuals and businesses alike to think, oh, I've got to change absolutely everything to solve gender inequality. When really you can make small actions in your own workplace that make a difference, because whether you're helping women around the world or whether you're just making the workplace environment more comfortable for your own employees, either one makes such a great difference. So it's really important to be having these conversations, and that's why we're here, obviously. So no, it's super great. And obviously the theme for International Women's Day this year is the hashtag Break the Bias. So how do you interpret this theme, and what do you suggest we do to break the bias?
Yeah, it's such a good question. So I think I interpret that we all have our biases, and I think the most important thing to break the bias is to recognize that, and to understand that, you know, no matter what your intentions are, you're always going to automatically have biases in place. And it's a case of understanding what your biases are so that you can then break them and work to go past them. I think for me, it's about, okay, how do I get to know as many people as I can on a personal basis, so that I'm really understanding the humans behind the bias that I may have for a group of people, and so that you're just feeding back into your automatic subconscious bias of different stories and different people that are making up our business or beyond our business. So I think that's what we need to do on a kind of personal level to break the bias. I think as a B Corp and as a business, there's so much more to do along the lines of what we were already talking about, of making sure that we've got support systems in place for women and other underrepresented groups. And I think that's where kind of intersectionality and the importance of all of that comes into play, that if women are also part of another underrepresented group, then they face even more biases. And we need to do everything that we can to support both stopping those biases, but also putting support systems in place so that they can be supported to go as far as possible. So yeah, I think businesses also have a big role to play in what they can do to break the bias.
Exactly, yeah. I think it's just so important to be having these conversations, and for example, like having the hashtag Break the Bias. Anyone can go on to Twitter, Instagram, whatever it might be, and search up that hashtag and get inspired by what everyone is doing. And as you said, like personally, we all have biases whether we want to recognize them or not. So like the first step is just being conscious of the biases that you do have, and then looking at how you can break these down and relearn essentially.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just important for everyone to be having these thoughts, this thought process on self-reflecting. What biases have I got? This is for men and women alike. And then hopefully if we're all having these conversations, we can really reflect upon how we act towards other people in the workplace, in our personal lives, and hopefully make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, there's been some amazing things online today. I saw such a cool campaign, which a group of businesses have run and marketing agencies. And I'm not sure if you've seen it, but they have um, like close your eyes and imagine a CEO, close your eyes and imagine a woman crying in the office and
Yeah.
or a person crying in the office. And see, I'm just proving myself. And then it says, you know, have you imagined a man or a woman? And they did a study of all these children and parents of children and asked them about their biases, and they do exist. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a case of questioning ourselves on what we are still thinking of as male and female gendered roles and beyond. So yeah, it's really interesting to have a look online today as well. So definitely recommend that to everyone.
Yeah, definitely. It is funny how ingrained it is within our self-identity and just our day-to-day thought process, these biases and these gender stereotypes. So
Yeah.
you're just not even conscious of them at all. I've seen a similar thing as well, where it's like, you know, you mention a doctor and then immediately it's assumed to be a man. And it's only when you actually say, no, she, and then everyone realizes. But it's amazing how quickly the mind assumes. Even as women, we assume that because it's so ingrained.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is amazing to see what people are doing, especially today and this month, to break those biases. And hopefully, yeah, as I said, if we just keep being consciously aware and sort of just checking ourselves when we make an assumption like that, then hopefully eventually there won't be any of those assumptions at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully in less than 100 years' time as well.
Really, really hope so.
Definitely. So yeah, going back to the context of sustainability and climate change and gender inequality, obviously ENVOPAP and Too Good To Go are very focused on food waste, eliminating food waste in order to help the planet as well as improve social transparency and accountability. So there's a lot of intersectionality between those three things. So could you talk a little bit about that? What's the intersection between climate change, food waste, inequality, and what can governments do to help with this intersection?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, as you say, they are so interlinked. So
Yeah.
food waste is the third biggest producer of carbon emissions. So obviously, it's having a massive impact on the climate emergency, and changing our food waste and reducing food waste can really help with that and help reduce our carbon emissions directly. So that's kind of the key link between those two. The link to inequality exists in a few different ways. So we know that we need, as discussed, we need diverse voices at the table in order to make proper decisions around change and around climate change. We also know that climate change exacerbates inequalities and gender inequality. And we also know that food waste is interlinked with gender inequality as well, because more women work throughout the supply chain. So they're all really, really interlinked there. Therefore, making a difference to food waste can help us with climate change and can help us with gender inequality as well. From a government's perspective, obviously they have a lot of power to make change in these areas. And so we would encourage them to be making sure food waste is on the agenda. I think quite often it can still be not seen as a really key way to support climate change. So it sometimes is missed from government agendas when it should definitely be there. At Too Good To Go, we do work with lots of the governments in the countries that we work in, and we've got food waste on the agenda in some of those, and also trying to add it to curriculums at schools so that children are learning about food waste. But yeah, making governments make key goals to reducing food waste and having deadlines in place, because it's impacting us all. So they need to make a change at a governmental level. So yeah, it's an interesting one that they're all so interlinked, and I think it really brings home how our little changes that we can make a really big difference.
Yeah, definitely. I think it can often be forgotten how interlinked those three things are as well, as you said.
Yeah.
And it can be so overwhelming to try and tackle all three problems when actually if you think I'm going to tackle one, that will actually tackle all three. So as you said,
exactly.
With food, it goes tackling food waste immediately affects climate change issues, which then inherently affects the gender inequality gap, especially because women are so much more impacted by climate change impacts. And for those who are listening and want to know more about that, just search up gender inequality and sustainability, because there's so many different resources out there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different reports by the UN and IPCC report, that sort of thing. So there is so much out there. But what I was going to say was, it was interesting you mentioned the school curriculum, because I think these are the things that we should be discussing from the age of 3 onwards. Like it shouldn't be topics that we don't know anything about, because ideas come from the ground up or from
Yes.
younger generations. So why not be discussing these things straight away, and then we can see these problems not as being so abstract, but as we said, completely interlinked, and then we can come up with better ideas to solve these problems quicker.
Exactly. And I really believe like the youth have led the way on a lot of the climate movement already. They have such good ideas and such good energy, so it's definitely something to tap into. A lot of the schools programs that we've run, like the children go back and the parents have fed back like, oh, my tiny child is hounding me about food waste now, because they can amplify a message, and if they understand something's important, then they will work on it.
Yeah, that's amazing. I hadn't realized that Too Good To Go had done some school work as well, so that's great to hear.
Yeah, exactly, something that we're hoping to do more of.
No, that's amazing. Definitely getting the message out to the young kids straight away. And just, yeah, exactly, giving them some information about the importance of food waste and how it's connected to carbon emissions and climate change in general. I know, at least for EnvoPAP, what we do, all of our followers will know, but what we do is we make sustainable paper and packaging products made from discarded agrofibers. So these are just a byproduct of the agricultural industry. And it's sort of a question of, why would you not do that?
Yeah.
There's a material that's just being wasted, so why not give it a second purpose and then not solve, but help improve two problems at the same time.
Exactly, it makes so much sense.
Yeah, it makes so much sense. So yeah, I mean, I know we are closely running out of time, but thank you so much for joining us. Have you got any other points you wanted to bring up before we close off?
I don't think so. As we say, I think it's just that it feels like such a big topic, gender inequality and sustainability, and it can feel really overwhelming for people. So I think it is just the messaging that actually you can make small changes as an individual, which make a difference at, breaking your own bias, understanding your own biases, and you can make changes as a business, which can then set us up to be in a better society and make those bigger changes that we're looking to bridge. And hopefully, as you say, that gap becomes smaller and we don't have to wait 100 years to achieve gender equality.
Exactly. Okay, well, yeah, I'm going to close it there.
Brilliant.
Just as people are finishing off their lunch break, hopefully. But thank you so much for joining us today, Shona. It's been such a pleasure to talk to you.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
And yeah, hopefully we can have another discussion at another point about female empowerment and gender inequality and everything to do with that as well. But I will let you go and say Happy International Women's Day and Happy International Women's Day to everyone out there as well.
Yes, absolutely. Seconded from me and to everyone at EnvoPAP. But yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's been great to talk.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye. So thank you everyone for joining. Shona just left. It was such a pleasure to have her on. If you want to watch the full live stream over, this will be posted on our channels at some point soon. It's been an absolute pleasure to discuss this topic. It's something close to my heart personally. I work within EnvoPAP, just to remind you all, I'm a sales associate there. And we spoke to Shona from Too Good To Go. She's the global B Corp manager there. Make sure to check out the hashtag Break the Bias. That's one of the key hashtags this year from the organizations who have set up International Women's Day. So you'll see a lot of inspiration there. And obviously, if you have any inspiring resources or women that you want to mention, please do comment them on our channel. We would love to see them all and spread them the word. So thank you for watching. Bye.